flying characteristics, we call it lift-over drag ratio of a brick. So this thing just wants to fall. And it falls, if you ever see it during a landing, it's coming down pretty fast. You know, it doesn't always look like that because they got long-range cameras, but we are coming down pretty fast and pretty steep. And we got this one shot at it. And if we overshoot the runway or we're, didn't make it to the runway, we can always bail out. We open the hatch and jump out, parachute down. That's never happened. We've never had that problem before, but we have that capability. Anybody else? Yeah, Brandon.
Where exactly did you get the Russian spacesuit from?
This is a Russian spacesuit. I just brought that as an example to show you. This is one that flew in space back in 1996 to 1997. It was worn by one of the Russian cosmonauts, Alexander Kaleri. And they were going up to the Russian space station called Mir. It's got a little patch there in Russian. And this suit flew in space, and I got it from an organization called the Heinlein Foundation. And I borrowed it from them to put on display and show students and other groups what a Russian spacesuit is like. Yeah.
How are you protected when you're coming down and you're like on fire?
We are protected inside the shuttle by insulation. When the shuttle's coming down through the atmosphere, we heat up like a shooting star. A shooting star is just a burning rock or a piece of, grain of sand or something like that, and it heats up so fast at such a high temperature it kind of vaporizes and gives you a flash. Well, the shuttle would do that, except on the outside of the shuttle we're covered with these thermal tiles. And they're about 4 inches square and 1 inch or 2 thick. I have a small piece of one here. And this is the material that protects us on the outside of the shuttle. The outside of the shuttle gets to be about 2,000 to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So it would melt if we weren't protected. But these tiles all around the outside protect us from the heat of reentry. Okay? And if something happened to these, the shuttle could overheat and have big problems there. So these are really critical. We need those to get through the atmosphere to make it back home safely. Yeah. How about Ian?
Did you ever take a satellite up when you go on the space station?
Yeah, did I ever take a satellite up? And on my second mission, we had a big communication satellite that we used to talk to the Earth, and we launched that in the back of the shuttle. It was about the size of a school bus, and it's a big satellite that we still use today to relay those pictures from the Hubble Space Telescope. They send them to this satellite, and then the satellite sends them back down to the ground to the Goddard Space Flight Center here, where they're processed. So we use it both for communicating from the shuttle down to the Earth and the space station to the Earth, and other scientific satellites use this satellite too to relay the data back down in the pictures. Yeah?
Can you use the same space shuttle over and over again?
Good question. Can you use the same space shuttle over and over again? And each shuttle was designed to be used about 100 times. And right now, I think the most that any shuttle has flown, I don't know the exact number, but it's in the neighborhood of 35 to 40 missions. And we only have 2 more shuttle flights left. We've flown 130 some missions, 132 missions maybe. We've got 2 more flights. One of them will be in November, and the last one will be early next year, maybe February or so. And then they're going to retire the space shuttle after that point. So, most of them, they're used over and over again. And once it lands, we got to do a lot of inspection. Make sure the engines are okay, make sure the brakes still work before we launch it again. Okay? How about over here? I like your shirt too.
Sometimes you crash.
Sometimes they crash. You're absolutely right. We had 2 accidents with the space shuttle. One of them blew up during launch. It was about 1.5 minutes into the launch, and they had a problem, and it all blew up, and all 7 astronauts died. Another one of these space shuttles, this one that you see, this one here, Space Shuttle Columbia, during launch, a piece of the foam from the big orange fuel tank hit the front of the wing, and it created a hole about 1 foot across. And when Columbia was coming back in the atmosphere at the end of the mission, it started getting very hot, and it had a hole in the wing. So the wing eventually melted off, and the whole shuttle came apart, and those 7 astronauts died as well. So every now and then, we have an accident on board the shuttle. We've had 2 accidents out of 130 some missions. So you always feel really good when you safely make it to space, and when you safely make it back down to Earth, you say, wow, I made it.
the ship goes down and it's burning with flames, when you're inside it, even if you're protected by the tile, do you still get at least a little hot?
Okay, do we get a little hot, even though, that's a great question. And well phrased, did a great job there. As we're coming through the atmosphere, starting to enter in there, you see big flames coming off. I would be sitting in my seat in the shuttle, and about 4 feet above my head is one of these big windows in the shuttle. And I can't tilt my head and look up, because we got big helmets on, and you're just kind of sitting in your seat. But I would have a little mirror on my knee, use it like a rear view mirror. I could look down at my knee and look out that window. And just 4 or 5 feet from my head, there are huge flames coming off the shuttle. And it's a couple thousand degrees out there. And you think, wow, you know, it's like I can almost reach there. But inside, we're nice and cool. You know, it's only once we get to the ground, some of that heat starts to enter the spaceship. It starts to soak back. So once we land, they say that heat enters. I could never tell when we landed if it's from the heat from the outside slowly making it inside, or the spacesuits that we wear are just hot anyway. So I could never really tell, like, boy, it's getting hot in here. That's from all that heat. You know, these suits are just hot, and when you get back to Earth and you're back in gravity, you're just sweating a little bit from that. But when I did this little walk around here, we went over and you could put your hand near the tiles. You don't want to touch them, but you put your hand near them and you can feel the heat coming off. It's still hot when you get down to the surface here.